Brian, what are you seeing as far as like the ball security issues? With the fumbles Sunday against the Cowboys.
Um, well, we just, we got to do a great job of protecting the football, particularly with our fundamental and going to the ground. You see this happen throughout the course of the league every single week, and it's something that we talk about a lot, we drill a lot, and it was just, really unfortunate that they were able to get the ball out, and it's something that we got to continue to work on and continue to harp on about the details of our ball security and fundamentals.
Nick was asked yesterday about, just the three receivers getting the targets. And he, obviously you're going to go through your top three guys, but, he's also mentioned many times that the wise man avoids all extremes, right? You don't want to become too predictable with just throwing the three guys at every game. Is that correct, or are you okay playing it that way?
Well, I think just based on, the type of defensive structure that we got, with how they're playing, it's going to create a lot of one-on-ones on the perimeter. And, with the style of defense that we got, we felt really, really good about those matchups on the perimeter. And, that's just kind of how it goes. So some weeks it'll be like that, some weeks it won't. But I think, for us in particular, just in that particular game, in terms of how we were getting played defensively, there were a lot of opportunities for one-on-one matchups with two great options.
Were there missed opportunities though from Jalen not seeing those other guys when he should have?
No, I think the ball for the most part went where it was supposed to go. Based on what we were trying to accomplish and based on what the defense presented to us. So, I don't think that was anything that was intentional other than the defense. Coverage dictates where the ball goes sometimes, and when you get some of that single high defense like that, you get favorable matchups, one-on-ones on the outside, and that's why you saw the ball go there.
Brian, what are some of the coaching points on for lack of a better term, rub routes when you're trying to create some separation so that you don't get the penalty, but you also create enough?
Yeah, I think it's essentially a game of chicken, right? And you have to be willing. You got to be ready to bail out and not create contact. And that's a detail and fundamental that obviously we've had two of those called in the past 2 weeks, and we got to definitely get that cleaned up.
Nick yesterday was asked about the slow starts. He had mentioned information gathering as being part of the equation that early on, your information gathering. Can you kind of expound on that? And is there a tendency sometimes to get carried away with information gathering that maybe gets in the way of attacking more?
Well, it serves two purposes, right? I mean, obviously you want to go down and score your first drive. And, I think the last two games, we've moved the ball down there and hadn't finished. Whether, we had an opportunity for a first and goal at the 6 or 5 yard line and we got a penalty, and then we ended up turning the ball over. But, the previous game, I think we drove down there and we didn't finish in the red zone, and we had to end up kicking field goals. So, yes, you do want to gather information. It is a long game. But at the same time, you do want to attack. You want to be aggressive, and you want to, try to jump out to a lead. So, that's something that we haven't been able to do in the past couple of games, and we got to get it corrected.
When it comes to Jalen, Brian, how much do you pay attention to how quickly he's getting the ball out, or do you not pay attention to it? He's got the ability to obviously extend plays, and that's going to affect those numbers. So what's that sort of balance?
Yeah, there's definitely a balance, and getting the ball out to our playmakers in space quickly is never a bad thing. But Jalen also has a very rare and unique ability to extend plays and create plays on his own. So, we definitely have to be very cognizant and aware of that, and making sure that we're allowing both to happen.
Against the Cowboys, I think DeAndre Swift had like 11 touches, in the previous week he had 8. I know defenses have a way of influence, especially on those RPOs, but first off, how has DeAndre Swift handled the decreased workload, and how do you guys still keep him involved in the offense with these limited amount of touches?
Yeah, well, I think you just got to continue to try to get him the ball in different ways, and whether that's in the pass game, whether that's in the jet sweep game, or just handing them some direct runs that don't have read elements to them. So, I've always said, like, these games kind of play out very independently in terms of how the defense is playing and what the read tells you to do with the football. So, I have full confidence in DeAndre. He's an awesome player. He's an even better person. He works his tail off each and every day, and he's had a great year.
As you know, it was your first time since you've been here that you guys haven't scored a touchdown. After a game like that, how much of it is doubling down on what you guys believe in, and how much of it is taking a step back and evaluating what you're doing?
Well, again, like, you always want to evaluate and try to put yourself in the best position. We've had a ton of success here throughout the course of the 2.5 or 3 years that we've been here, and I think Nick gave a great message at that point in 2021. We were 2-5, and he talked about doubling down on our process and sticking true to what we believe. And I think that's very, very important. I think that's a very important lesson to take. When you're in a process-driven profession, but it's really ultimately results-based. And when the results don't necessarily match your process, for 2 weeks in a row, you still need to evaluate, and you still need to try to find new and creative ways to do things and put the guys in the best spots to go out there and execute the plan each and every week. And so, I think to answer your question, just like, it is definitely a balance. And, because we know what we have and we know what guys do really, really well, and guys have done some of that stuff really, really well. And we got to continue to do that. We got to continue to complement it and put them in the best spots to be successful.
Ryan, Jordan Mailata said on the radio this morning that at some point after the game you addressed the team and you took ownership for the way that the play calling went. He also said that you learned a lot from the game. So first, why did you decide to talk to the team and take the ownership that you did, and what did you learn from this game?
Well, I think this is all about, accountability and being able to grow through what you go through. And, it was a very, very unique game, and we didn't perform the way that we should. And, ultimately that starts with me. And, I think anytime you're in a leadership position, accountability matters. And being able to hold yourself accountable, for players being able to hold themselves accountable, I think that's all a part of the process and all a part of continuing to find ways to get better. And, our story isn't completely written yet. So I think for us, like, you sit back and we're 14 or 15 weeks in or whatever, but, we still got a lot left to accomplish, and everything is out there in front of us. So,
Brian, in terms of accountability, Jalen, obviously being the quarterback, has much more on his plate than anybody else. So when he is not playing up to maybe the standard that you want, how do you go about holding him accountable with also taking into account also how much he does have on his plate?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that, there's a reason why quarterback is probably the most difficult position to play in all of sport. And there's a lot of different variables that get thrown at you. And there is a lot on your plate. And, I know Jalen openly welcomes that, and with how he's built. And I think for the most part, I think that's the nature of the beast with every quarterback in this league. And, but we got to do a great job of surrounding him and putting him in the best positions possible each and every week, each and every play. And, giving him the tools that he needs to go out there and perform at a high level.
So you think, despite your long relationship, that you can give him real hard coaching when it's needed?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's, I don't think that's ever been an issue between us. So, at the end of the day, it's all about action, right? I mean, words mean a little, actions mean a lot. And, we need to, we've always been able to have very frank and honest and open conversations on what we need to do in order to improve, what we need to do in order to get better. And, that'll continue.
What are those one or two keys for Jalen to get back to playing up to his normal standard?
Yeah, I think the one or two keys for Jalen, first of all, I don't think it's all, on Jalen, right? I mean, everybody, it's the ultimate team game, and I think everybody on each and every play has to do their 1/11th. And, I think that's what makes this game so beautiful is that it takes everybody. And, obviously the quarterback gets most of the credit and most of the blame when it doesn't go well. But, again, that's the nature of this position. And I think Jalen understands that. I obviously understand that. But we have to do a great job of playing together and being able to utilize everything we have.
You mentioned accountability earlier, a couple questions ago. This week in particular, yesterday, today, how did you approach evaluating your game planning, looking through it again, and was there a different approach that you did in terms of that?
A different approach with our game plan this week, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our process is going to be our process in terms of how we get ready for each opponent. And I think that, the consistency in which we do that is really, really important. To have that level of consistency week in and week out and saying, this is how we're going to evaluate this is how we're going to evaluate that. But at the same time, you're always looking for opportunities to grow and improve. So, I think we talk about getting better. It always starts with self-reflection. And I think any competitor, when something doesn't go your way, like the first thing that any great competitor that I've been around, the first thing that you always do is ask, what could I have done better? And you always look inward. And I think that's a quality that, everybody in this building has, and that's what we'll continue to do.
If I could follow up on, the first question was about turnovers. It's not lost to me that you're under a sign about ball security, and Nick talked about all that like Jamal Singleton does during the week in terms of ball security. So how do you fix something that you guys already emphasize as much as you do?
You have to double down, and we know that's something that we really, really believe in, the fundamentals and the detail in which we talk about the ball, and how vital it is for our success and how vital it is to win football games. That's something that you have to continue to double down on your process and continue to really live in that each and every day and make it really important moving forward.
When you look at that third receiver role, just statistically, it doesn't look like it's developed, especially when you add someone like Julio Jones, 5 catches in 8 games. You think more could be done there, maybe to, be a little less predictable or more difficult to defend?
Yeah, I think you want, what you want is you want all 5 position players to contribute to the offense in a positive manner. And sometimes that shows up in the stat sheet, sometimes it doesn't. And, there's no doubt we have a plethora of talented players here that are more than capable of having big games. And, I think that's a fine line and a balance, particularly when you have guys like AJ and guys like Devontae Smith who win very, very regularly, and the ball is out to them. So to answer your question, yes, I think you want all 5 positional players to be able to contribute to the offense in a positive manner.
And watching the Seahawks, what jumps out first?
They're really well coached. They play hard. They're disciplined. They're in good spots. It's obviously a very hostile environment to go play in. They have a great home crowd, and I know our guys will be ready for the challenge to go out there and execute on Monday night.
You mentioned this is a process-driven profession. When you face some on-field adversity, and you guys haven't had a lot of it, do you have to be careful not to stress the adversity?
Yeah, I think you never want to get to a point where you overcorrect, right? I mean, there's, again, like all of this, none of this stuff is absolute, right? And it's never as black and white as, you would like to make it. But there's some gray to it, right? So, I think the most important thing is being able to just identify and correct. And, if you got the right type of mindset, the right type of people, which we do, that shouldn't be a problem.